Hi, welcome back to another episode of The Things We Love and Hate. And this is going to be a special episode today dedicated to standard access reporting. I am sitting here with a friend of mine. I've known Jack for several years, Jack McElaney, and he is known in the community as the person who is the aggregator for accessibility news and has a weekly publication of Accessibility in the News, which is like the definitive list of everything. So Jack, besides that, tell everyone a little bit about who you are and, the too long did not read.
All right. I was born in Boston, so I'll get that out there now, because when there's certain words you don't understand, that's probably because I'm from Boston. I live in Austin, Texas now. I work for Microassist, which is a company that does a lot of work in accessibility. I won't get into the long laundry list of things. And one of them happens to be the newsletter that Lucy mentioned. It's a free newsletter. I love publishing it every week. The whole goal of it is knowledge is power and sharing information with people all over the world. And I really appreciate you taking time to interview me this evening.
Thank you. I really appreciate having you here on the podcast. It's this is a dear project of mine. I do this out of my desire to make sure people know. So you and I are both members of standard accessibility reporting.
Correct.
Are you a member through Microassist, or are you a member on your own?
Through Microassist.
Excellent. So standard accessibility reporting is all about how do we get the major publications in this world to pay attention to accessibility and understand what the importance of accessibility is. If you get the founder, Chris Law, going, he will go off on how Consumer Reports, which is a nonprofit, and they don't talk about accessibility at all. And his big dream is that we come up with, standardized tests and standardized ways to look at products and report on their accessibility. And we're doing both web site reporting, because it's also, there's no standardized testing for the web right now. We all have the W3C standards, but how do you test for each of those criteria? How do you do that work? And we don't have any standardized ways to report on how is, say, a television accessible? How is a microwave accessible? So, Jack, what do you think the most important thing for people to know about? Why should we have standards?
Well, I think the important thing, I had dinner with Mike Barciala tonight, and we talked about this exact subject. The aging baby boomers, just that generation alone, the size of it and the number of people who are aging. So I'm a boomer. I'm 65 years old. As we peer into the future with the electronics that we have around our homes, virtually none of them are accessible. I mean, some of them, like Samsung, has TVs that they're working on to make them more accessible. But Chris Law was at my house last spring, and the two of us literally went around my family room and kitchen looking at the various electronics that I have, whether it was in the kitchen or in the stereo equipment that we have. And not one of them is accessible. And the average person, as we age, our eyes start to deteriorate. It's a well-known fact. The number one surgery that people get when they get on Medicare is cataract surgery. So that's an eye issue. Yeah. So now people naturally have degradation in their eyes and their vision. So I know for a fact, if I wake up in the middle of the night and I want to heat something up in my microwave, it is one of the most inaccessible devices anywhere. I struggle at night to see what I'm entering in and what the keys are. That's just one device that's in the house. And then you go to the laundry room and you look at the dryer, and these are highly technical pieces of equipment now.
Yeah, and they're not simple mechanical devices anymore.
At all.
Yeah.
And they get even more and more technical as time goes along. The simplest we have is the toaster oven. I mean, it's really simple, basic, but it's driven by sounds and touch. And, I would say if there was ever anything that was accessible, that's the closest I know. Once you get into the digital world of what is in existence today, it just is not accessible. And so I'm in full agreement, because I've seen the journey that Chris and Saz has taken, that as we evolve as a human race, especially as boomers age, it's extremely important for all of the consumer electronic companies to be focusing on having some level of accessibility built into their products and then reporting on it, similar to what Consumer Reports does. And so you would actually have a grading system in Consumer Reports that is specifically related to accessibility. It's not related to electricity, it's related to accessibility. It's not related to efficiency, it's related to accessibility.
Yeah.
That to me is the most important aspect of what Chris is working on. Is if you look just at the boomer group and how that will impact them in the coming decades. And when I say them, I'm talking about myself and my wife and all my contemporaries. As we grow older, it's only going to get harder if those products do not get more accessible to us.
And we're not only growing older, but we're living longer.
And we're living longer, yeah.
So, there was a period in time where the average age was 72. So, there wasn't very many people who were in their 60s, around, because they'd started to pass away. And it's a good thing that, we have people now living well into their 90s. And these people need more accessibility, left, right, and center. I remember when I did the video that started this entire project, LG sent a technician to my house to put the Braille templates on my washer dryer for me. And the guy's like, I'm talking to him and telling him all about the project. And he's like, yeah, everybody needs this. He goes, most people, it doesn't matter who they are, have their washer dryer in a garage. And they're dark and they're dismal. And they can't see the screens on these washer dryers. And they're like constantly squinting and trying to struggle to look at them. And he goes, and then when they get older, it's even harder. And he goes, I can't tell you how many times I've gone to somebody's house that's an old person, and that old person, had an error message flashing on the screen that they couldn't read, so that's why the machine didn't work.
Exactly.
It's a serious problem that we have to include this information.
Well, and the other thing is, just a simple device. When I say simple, meaning it's easy to use because there's an on-off button.
Yep.
But if it was really simple, they wouldn't have the whole array of buttons on a remote control for TVs. I mean, it's just, to me, my wife and I joke about it all the time that we need our youngest son, who's 27, to come over and change different things because we can watch Amazon Prime, or we can watch Netflix, or the variety of things that are just on one TV, one device. And I have the start of a cataract, so I do have some level of issues with my reading, but as time goes on, there's the whole hearing side of things that people are impacted by, and I know closed captioning is something that more and more people are starting to activate on their TVs, and I think over time, my generation, you'll see more and more having that on constantly on their TVs. So there's some semblance of accessibility built in, but it's only one device within your house. And again, I task everybody who's listening to this to walk around your kitchen, walk around your laundry room, walk around your living room, family room, and wherever you have these devices, and rate them yourself as far as what degree of accessibility do you think they have. And then fast forward at 5 years, 10 years, how accessible do you think they will be at that point in time, given natural aging to your eyes, to your ears, to mobility and cognitive? And I think that's the responsibility of the consumer electronic companies. And I've said this to Chris, CES in Vegas, year after year, you're seeing more and more companies starting to focus on accessibility.
It was huge this year. It was absolutely huge.
Absolutely, yeah. And it needs to start there, because that's the biggest conference in the world. And you have so many people there over the course of a week focusing on all the new technology. You talk about going to a conference and seeing the best of the best. that's where it needs to start. And Consumer Reports needs to start focusing on it. I think they need to be having some synergy with AARP, mainly because of that group and how much money boomers have, how much knowledge they have, how much legal
influence they have.
Influence and access to legal.
Exactly. And
So-
one of the other episodes that we filmed this time last year at the same conference, I talked to Makoto Ueki from Japan, and he said that, there's standards there about how to make things accessible. And, we focus on the legislation, and the legislation is hard to get.
Oh, sure is.
But the standards are collaborations of the consumer electronics companies there and the consumer products companies. So he said, when a shampoo company decided that they were going to mark the shampoo bottle so that, a person in the shower could reach out and get the shampoo versus the conditioner, and then went to all the other companies in the industry, it's a standard across Japan now that shampoo always has a tactile marking on the bottle and not here. And that's because our companies are so competitive with each other that they don't talk to each other and they don't come up with ways that are simple, cheap, that they can do across the industry.
Yeah, and the thing that surprises me more than anything, and I've had this conversation with Chris, and I had it with Mike tonight, and I've had it with numerous people, is just the sheer numbers of people who have disabilities, and how right now the World Health Organization says there's anywhere from 1.3 to 1.5 billion people who have significant disabilities. Well, that's out of the world population of 8.1 billion. So that's a really significant number of people who today are disabled. That number, according to lots of groups like the WHO, is that number by 2030, which is only 6 years away. That number is going to double. So that'll be 2.6 to 3 billion. And the world population at that time obviously is going to advance, but it's a huge percentage. And that's the aging of the world. It's the graying of the world.
And that's people who can't buy the products that
Exactly.
these companies are making. Or if they do, they're going to not be able to use them and, just be highly disappointed. And, we want the world to be pleasurable for people. And, especially as you're aging, you deserve to get products that work for you.
Right.
You spend that hard-earned money that you spent your entire life, making. You want the product to do what you need it to do.
Exactly. And the thing is, like with a TV or a stereo system or a headset for stereo or a microwave or a stove top or whatever the electronic may be, you as the individual purchaser, you want to be able to plug it in and have it work and be usable by you from day one. And I'd say shame on any of these manufacturers who aren't paying attention to whoever their demographic may be. And it's no different than web accessibility or any of the digital accessibility that we talk about. Is people need to be aware that there's a problem. And I'm not saying that disability is a problem, but that not being able to use the product that it was intended to be used
is a problem. Yeah. Being disabled is just a condition. And that condition, has that problem that people aren't thinking about them when they're creating the products. And that's, I hope that will change, and I hope the work we're doing will bring that change about. Thank you for watching today's episode of Know Before You Buy, The Things We Love and Hate. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please be sure to subscribe, click like, and leave me any comments. And join me next time for another episode.